Don't You Call Home is a story about me meeting my wife and getting together with her and meeting in downtown Toronto, going to the art gallery. She was obviously way out of my league. I got real introspective as teenagers do at one point, and I had actually spun her around and told her, Angie, I think that I'm an artist. I'm not sure I'm gonna make a go of this life very well. So if you think you're gonna waste your time with me, I would be okay if you didn't want to hang out with me anymore. You can dump me now if you want. So that's Why Don't You Call Home.
Call home.
This is why we fight. When I got married, we spent the first couple years fighting. A friend of ours sat down with us. He's an older guy, and he understood marriage a little better than us. And he said, "How are you guys fighting?" We're like, "What? Are you being fair? Are you listening to each other?" And like, you can yell at each other. That's fine. You can get used to fighting. As long as you fight fair, fighting is okay. It comes back to when I was newlywed. And, we were trying to live a significant life. We were trying to figure out how to live a life together, having never lived with somebody else ever in our entire lives. That's a tough thing to do. So you're gonna fight through it. That's why we fight.
Again. We walked until our feet were sore, had nowhere left to go.
We all do stupid things in our past. Hurt Feelings is a song about a guy trying to escape it. Some of the things I did in my past, you try to forget. You try to do things that take you away from those. Running around, running away from our hurt feelings. Trying not to deal with all the things in your past. That's what Hurt Feelings is about. At some point in life, someone is going to trust you for their life. You're going to have to deal with the death of a loved one, or you're going to have to deal with somebody changing from something that they were into something that doesn't suit them anymore. Cancer, or through, life-threatening injuries, or Do You Trust Me brings me back to moments in my life where I was close to somebody passing away. And I just kind of put it into the perspective of a couple trying to sort it out at the end of their life. Do you trust me, Annie? In a hospital room, do you trust me with the last few days of your life?
Floating down the stream.
If you listen really closely to the end of Out of Touch, Out of Luck, you'll hear my good buddy Mike talking. It was the last phone message he ever sent me. And when he died last summer, it rocked me hard. And he was in a wheelchair, and he had long white beard, and he collected bayonets and swords, and just really loved the guy. I really loved him. And I went away for a little mini tour. When I came back, he was gone. And that was the last phone message he ever left me. He's one of those guys that I miss every day. And it's tough to have him gone. So dealing with that, just one of those life things. It's really hard to let go.
Out of our minds, our hearts remind. I heard that sound like the middle of the night. When it wakes you up, you can't
think back to the cool things you did when you were a kid, when you were newlywed, when you were figuring out life and you want to go back, but there's pieces of that life that you don't want to go back to. You're hanging out in rainstorms and doing things that you would do as a kid. And by kid, I mean just younger than middle-aged. You want to go back, but you don't really want all the parts of that. I want that back. It's all about that. Let Me Go is sung from the perspective of a man thinking about an alternate timeline where he dumped his wife early on, his girlfriend at the time. And he goes back through past to try and find her and see how she is.
They tried to bury us, didn't know we were seeds.
If I could do anything in life, it'd be to protest ignorance. It'd be to fight against things that don't matter. You can't bury us with some things. Some of the things we do every day, like too much TV or too many movies, or just even too much of anything that takes you away from loving life and being with your family. It'll bury us. It turns you into something that you're not. You can't bury us as a protest against all of that. And your heart's such an important thing to guard, and it's important to not get buried underneath all the weight of social media and too much stuff. I wanted to write a song about my dad, but I didn't want it to be one of those angsty teenager, you weren't around when I was a kid type songs. Although he wasn't always around, he had some really amazing qualities to him, really cool characteristics. He was a welder, he was an army guy, he was a hunter, he could fix anything. And my dad was really cool. Early on in my marriage when he died, I kind of had to turn it off for a bunch of years. So when I wrote this song, I picked the favorite story that I have of my dad growing up. When I was really young, I was about 5. He took me to the farm. We drove the 78 Nova SS around in a field, and he set me on his lap, and I was steering the wheel, and we hit the fence. We knocked down probably 3 or 4 posts, and my dad backed it up, and he said, "Hey son, that was a good time. It was really fun. Just don't tell your mom."
On the farm when I